We're talking about the Shaper Origin today. I made a video about a year ago called Should You Buy a Shaper Origin, in which I talked about my impressions of this as a hobbyist woodworker. People seem to enjoy that video and they left a lot of comments about my opinions and how that's going since then. So I figured a year later I should offer a video that talks about my experience after all this time. So today I'm really gonna run down what I think the benefits are of it and why you might wanna get it, and then what the drawbacks are. If you're looking for kind of an overview of what it is and some of those basic impressions, again, go back to that original video and I talk about why I purchased it initially. This one's really about what is still good about it, what some drawbacks are, and especially because you're a hobbyist woodworker, cost, and whether or not this investment is worth it for what you do, or if you should maybe buy something else, invest in like a CNC or something like that, because there's huge benefits and drawbacks to each. I'm not gonna talk at all about CNC machines and what they can do. I'm very inexperienced with that, but I am gonna talk about the benefits I've seen from this and what I like about it so far, and where it fits into my own workflow and what I produce in my shop. So check it out. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, all that stuff. That really helps. And please leave a comment if you have your own thoughts on Shaper or questions that I didn't answer in this video, and I'm happy to do a follow-up. Right off the bat, if you just want my final conclusion, I would buy this again after a year and 3 months. I use it on almost every project, and I like to find ways to use it in different projects. Do you need it? No, but like any tool in the shop, you might not need it, but when you have it, you like it and you use it a lot. So this falls into that category for me. It's very expensive. Right now, it's retailing around $3,000 with different upgrades and things like that. And it can actually get more and more expensive depending on what you want, which I'll talk about in a little bit. What I like about it still from last time, its portability is amazing. I'm in a basically glorified one-car garage, and having this allows me to have some level of CNC work without having to take up the space of a CNC. Now, the biggest benefit of a CNC is you can set it and forget it. You can come back and it will have done a whole bunch of work for you. So if you're looking at batching out a whole bunch of stuff, this isn't the tool for you, because this thing requires you to always be holding it and working with it. This is great for those little jobs that you want a lot of precision with, and you don't necessarily want to handhold a router and trust yourself with that. For instance, I just used it recently to do box joints on some legs of a floating white oak coffee table. And it was a dream. It worked really well to cut those box joints. They fit together really well. It has pre-measured kind of offsets that allow you to make sure it's a perfect fit for those box joints. Additionally, in the small hobbyist workshop, this allows you to do some things that you wouldn't be able to do just with hand tools, very likely. So I'm gonna show you an example of it, and this is gonna be in a separate video where I talk about the Shaper plate, but I made this circle slab joint here, which would probably be possible somehow if you did that with hand tools or with maybe a hole saw, something like that. But with this, it made it really quick and easy to make a unique joint that is tying this slab together. The other area where it's really beneficial is if you're a small hobbyist, you're in a small workshop, maybe you sell some things on Etsy, maybe you sell some things to your local community, something like that. If you want to engrave on your work anything, this is gonna be a huge benefit to you, because you can personalize pieces, and if you can personalize things, people will often pay more for it because you can make it more engaging, more beautiful, all that kind of stuff. Now, there's limitations to that. It's not going to be able to engrave what like a laser can with that level of detail. That's what a laser's for. And again, you're gonna have to sit with it. It's not like a CNC where you can walk away. So if you're doing batches of breadboards or something like that for a winery, this might not be the tool. You probably want a CNC for that. But if you have a client and they say, I'd really like this to be personalized in one way or the other, you could use this, give them that personalization. You could maybe get a little bit more profit out of that, and there's some benefits to that. So you dove in, you bought this thing, it's really expensive. How can you practically earn some money through this? Well, number one, obviously, if you're just building furniture, I think this is the tool for you, because adding hinges, custom hinges, specialty hinges, all that kind of stuff can be challenging on furniture, and it's gonna make it a lot easier to do that. Number two, if you're a sign maker at all, signs can be a really good income proposition. If you're building custom signs for people, this can really help for that. I used to use a scroll saw to make all sorts of signs, And this has replaced that need for a scroll saw, and I can make it much more precise. And that's better for ultimately when you give that to the client, they're gonna say, wow, this is a really nice looking sign. How did you do that? All this stuff, this is wonderful. And you can charge more if your quality is higher, of course. So sign making might be a really practical way to do that. Here's an example of one I just made for my actual job where I didn't sell it, but I made it for displays so that people could see it, put some LED lights in the background, and it's a cool sign that can be displayed and show off that logo. Another area where I'd say this has been great is they're constantly coming up with software updates, and that's good and bad. So number one, they brought out a new kind of operating system update called Jenner. So that was their newest upgrade. And it's nice. They always come out with kind of new, small, subtle upgrades, which all work with this first gen Shaper Origin, just like the newest gen. So I don't feel like I'm losing out having this, first gen one. And again, if you're looking to buy this, you want to save a few bucks, I'm not sure I would need any kind of upgrade from this at this point. Some drawbacks of that. So they've gone to kind of a pay to play system, it seems, which I don't love when you pay a lot of money entry level to get into something. I understand it's a business practice and they need to earn money on all of the things that they're developing. So their justification is, well, we're putting out really cool software, things like that. So, are you gonna pay for it? You don't have to, it'll still work just fine without it, but the benefits of the upgraded softwares are pretty nice. So for instance, I talked in a former video, I think I made a jewelry box using their Shaper Labs. Now they have a thing called Shaper Studio that Shaper Labs went to. I loved Shaper Labs because it was free and you could tell it was beta and they were putting out different features and you knew it was getting to this place eventually. They were gonna try to make their money. Now they have Shaper Studio Lite, which is free and it has some basic elements to it, but it's really basic. So, I think obviously they're smart. It's gonna tempt you to want to pay for the Shaper Studio. Now, I don't have anything against paying for the Shaper Studio, but they're asking $100 a year for that, for a subscription. And to me, that's fine. I wish it was more like $40 or $50 a year. I think it is, though, a barrier for some people if they're thinking about maybe tighter margins and they don't want to have that extra $100 a year when they're also paying that for probably things like SketchUp. Maybe they do like Adobe Illustrator or Adobe Suite, and just all those kind of nickel and diming of subscription-based things end up costing in the long run. And for a woodworker, that might be a barrier where they say, you know what, I can hand cut my dovetails, I can do some basic bow ties, I don't need this for that. So it might cause people to actually stay away from it. Now that aside, the benefits of Shaper Studio are awesome. It does a really good job. It allows you to set depths. So they have a thing that, again, nickel and diming, called Auto Pass, that is $200 for a one-time purchase. So you never have to pay for it again. And it allows basically the bit to auto set depth once you've set that in Shaper Studio or on the Origin. And that's nice, but it's, again, another $200. So you see how these costs start kind of racking up. In addition to that, they put out the Shaper Plate, which again is in a separate video. I'm gonna review that. That costs, I think it was $350. So these things kind of add up, and you can start to really get inside an investment here. That is all to say, I'm not a big fan of the nickel and diming, but I will say the stuff that they're putting out is pretty good. So similar to a lot of tools in the shop, is it worth upgrading to that stuff? But before you buy this, you would want to know that that's what you're getting into, because the cost can keep adding up. And if you're not using it, or it's not something where you can earn money on it, if it's part of your business, it might not be worth it. Maybe buy something else. So again, like I said at the beginning, would I buy it again? Absolutely. This thing's great. I use it, again, almost every build. I build a lot of furniture, so that's just kind of a part of my workflow. I don't make a lot of like cutting boards or things like that that I think a lot of people like to sell on Etsy. I don't do that world. I love making signs. I love making furniture. I love making that kind of stuff. And it's been worth it. I use it really, I think, once on every project, if not more. So I'd get it again. I don't know what you think. Go ahead and leave a note in the comments. Subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Thanks for watching. Again, this is not sponsored whatsoever. These are just my thoughts on whether or not this is a good product that you might want to have in your shop.